How y'all doing? I'm planning on sitting here and venting because really this camera is a little tilted. I'm trying to get it straight. Let me see if I can get it straight right quick. Okay, it's a little straight. Okay, so I am so stressed out. I'm just up to here with trauma. Okay. My hair is a mess right now, but I really don't give a damn. I'm tired of trying. Every time I have to put on, I have to get titivated up. It makes me even more nervous to come on camera. I'm so stressed out. I'm so stressed out. You don't know the half. Right in this moment, I'm sitting here and I just feel like I don't belong here. I just feel like, what am I doing? Who do I think I am? I can't do this work. And it's crazy because I came on this planet to do some of the biggest work that is to be done. And all the videos you see on YouTube of me talking, making different content about different subjects. Hold on one second. Making content about different subjects. The level of knowledge that I have to teach is still not coming out like it can and like it ought to. It's still not coming out like it should, because really there's so much that is suppressed, and I don't know where to start. I in the future well, first I had said that I'm never going to really tell my life story from start to from birth to present day, unless I had absolutely have to, unless I absolutely had to, or absolutely have to. Grammar check, right? I said I was never going to really do that because it's too much to tell. It's too much, and the reason why it's too much is that people don't understand my kind of trauma. That my kind of trauma that I had to endure is related to me being super sensitive, and also the kind of trauma, which emotional trauma and emotional abuse creates the worst kind of trauma for people. I mean, the worst kind. And the reason why I am so sensitive is that some of us came into this life more sensitive than others. And some of us came into this life to do a particular work, to do monumental work, big work, global work, to help to save, I don't want to say save the planet, but yeah, a part of saving the planet. And most of the times when you're looking at people who become spiritual teachers, become the leading, the leading class of people as far as health, as far as spiritual growth, as far as advancement with humanity. Most of us, we are born very sensitive and very sensitive to certain things. And anybody who become a teacher and a spiritual teacher and like a intuitive somehow, the geniuses of the world, because they have this center within them. Their energy centers more open than other people's, which we all have these energy centers, but your intuitive centers are more so open, because every spiritual teacher, to some degree, is a knowledge intuitive, is what I call a knowledge intuitive, because that's what I am, and I have it in a very big capacity. It's just that it's not coming out on camera, and it's not coming out when I try to make content. It comes out when I'm sitting by myself, thinking in my deep thoughts. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Now, when I came into this life, first of all, we all choose our lives, right? We chose the lives. We have these pre-birth intention when coming into this life. And whatever purpose you have when coming into this life, you choose it and set the intention, and then you tend to find and choose parents and families that is going to create situations for you that will line you up with that, eventually line you up with that purpose and with that intention. And whether that takes the form of like severe trauma with these families, or just a kind of a family that I believe sometimes it doesn't have to be severe trauma, but a lot of the times it's also maybe the opposite. We have a family that is so very supportive that um, it helps us to, it's like if you want to be an actor, you come into a life, you choose an actor you mean actors and people in Hollywood to be your parents, and so it made it easier. But I do believe that there will still be some trauma there, and the trauma is a kind of a your trauma is a kind of a it's like a prerequisite and a kind of a motivational thing that is causing you pain, and that pain would send you in the direction to find healing, and the healing is to send you in the direction to teach the world. Or maybe if you're an actor, you became motivated. You came into a family of actors and a family that is big in Hollywood, but at the same time, the trauma itself caused you to become so traumatized. In this case, if you're dealing with an actor, he becomes so traumatized that he wants to be an actor so he could be seen, because that need to be seen is coming from um, maybe I suffered a trauma in my childhood that made me feel like I wasn't seen or I wasn't important. And you can bet in a Hollywood environment, in Hollywood families, these people are so narcissistic that you're dealing with parents a lot of the times that are so focused on other things that sometimes the child feels neglected and experience neglect trauma and experience abandonment trauma. And that creates a kind of a trauma in your being that makes you feel as though you need to experience the opposite of that, the opposite of neglect, the opposite of abandonment, the opposite of I'm not important, the opposite of I'm not significant. And then it sends you in the direction of I want to become an actor or a singer or whatever, so I will be seen by everyone and everybody will adore me. But in my case, I came into a family who, number one, I'm super highly sensitive. I'm also an intuitive empath. I'm also clairvoyant. I'm also clairaudient. And what else is there? There's maybe one or two more psychic, intuitive center that people have. I'm not saying I have all of them, but I have most of them. But I am more dominant in the knowledge intuitive center. I think they call that clear sentient, where you tend to just know things. You just know things. You don't know why you know these things, you just know it. You just understand how life works. You just understand human behavior. You just understand people. And I'm very dominant in that area. But because of the family I came into, I believe I came into a situation where, I know I came into a situation where that part of me was not embraced. And the thing about it is that my family and my parents don't know that I have these things. Or they, but it's not that they deny that in me per se. It's just that I interpreted a certain response of them as, if they're rejecting that part of me, then they're really gonna reject the more spiritual side of me. They're really gonna reject the more the part of me that is exuding spiritual strength and spiritual abilities and healing abilities and they're gonna reject these things inside of me. So I can't say that they knew about these things. They didn't. If it was a case where they knew I was born a certain way, if they knew this, then it would have been something in the family that would have been uttered at some point. It would have been a talking point in the family, but it was not in the family. So what happened was, it was in a kind of an interpretation trauma where I'm sure I exuded something that denote something like, maybe, I don't want to come up with examples because I suck at coming up with examples right on the spot. Okay, so I'm pretty sure maybe I express a kind of an intellect, or I express something otherworldly, or I may have expressed something that looked like I was mentally ill, or something that looked like something very simple. And let's say, for example, a child is born and she sees spirits. And if she expressed that to the family, they might tell her to shut up because you sound crazy, or you sound like you you're gonna embarrass us. So shut up. And that initial response caused her to internalize it and felt as though that if they don't want to see me exude any amount of this, what they think is silliness, which is something real, something that is coming from something real inside of me, a real intuition. Like, it's just like those children that when they see, if they have an imaginary friend, their parents tell them, oh, you're not you're crazy, but there's no imaginary friend there. So the child learns that they should just shut down that part of them. And maybe that child was actually seeing a ghost, or seeing a spirit, or seeing something that was not physically manifested. And so the child learns that they have to shut down and put that part away from them, put away those abilities and suppress them and don't use them. Because if I ever express anything like this, or remotely related to this, my family is going to shut me down, which means that I better shut down. Otherwise, I will not get their approval. I will not get I won't get their acceptance and their approval. And these are two very super duper important things for people in general, especially children, especially infant and children, to feel like they're connected and they're important to their family. And so I'm pretty sure it's something like that happened to me, where maybe I said something that somebody thought was silly, or I said something that somebody thought was crazy, or they interpreted as crazy. And maybe it was something real that I was seeing, because I knew that when I came into this life, I knew I remember seeing auras. I remember seeing orbs. I remember seeing colors around people, and maybe if I start to remember more, maybe I'll remember that I saw even more than that. And so I'm pretty sure at some point I expressed those things to my family, and maybe not those things, but something closely related to that. And maybe it's not even those things either. It could be any little thing, anything related or unrelated. But because of how I interpreted their response, it told me that I I am not supposed to express anything like those things or anything silly. And if they're not accepting that part of me, then they will never accept this bigger part of me. And that caused me to shut down my intuitive center to an extent where for a very long time throughout my childhood and throughout my teenage and my early adult stages, I I've forgotten who I was and what I came into this life to do. And even though I shut it down, I always felt that there was something different about me than other children and other people. And even though I shut it down, I was still hearing things, and I was still seeing energy. I wasn't really seeing spirits, but I was seeing energy. And and from seeing these things and hearing things and just understanding people, even at a very young age, I understood things, but I would never ever dare say anything to anybody in my family about what I understood, what I saw, what I heard, what I'm hearing, because I knew would have been rejected. And that caused me to really to have this deep fear of rejection too. I mean, and rejection in general, not just rejection from my family. And so and so because of living my life for so long and not expressing the real part of me, that this such a big part of me to the world, because it wouldn't just be my family. I would do this with everybody because I didn't know that I was allowed to be. I didn't even know who I was. I've forgotten who I was. But that the next point I have to make is that the things that I was hearing and seeing, I didn't know that these things. It wasn't until in my early 20s I started to realize that I have these intuitive abilities and these psychic abilities. I thought that these things that I was seeing, energy, um, and the things that I was hearing, I thought these things were happening to everybody. I didn't know that it was something that was going on with me because I was born a certain way. And so I didn't, when I went out in the world, I didn't express anything to anyone. I knew that I had a certain level of wisdom and a certain level of insight that was way ahead of my years, way ahead of the children my years. And that caused a whole lot of trauma too when I would go to school because children are cruel, you know, and people would see that there's something different about me, and they would pick on me, you know, and I was always a quiet child. I was never like the type to stand up for myself or to be boisterous in any way or outspoken. I would just internalize everything that is being done to me. And I mean, I could go into deep details about, I mean, if I ever end up really telling my life story, I could really talk into details about certain things and the experiences that I had in schools and every school that I went to, and even church and at my home, and how they were affecting me, um, how they were affecting me on a very deep level. Because of course I had other children was going through things too, and my siblings were going through the same kind of trauma, some of the same kind of trauma in the same home. And wherever I went to, people, life is hard. But because I came so sensitive, when you're highly sensitive, and I'm a highly sensitive plus, I'm a super empath. When you're these things, your life is a living hell anyway. Because the pain that other people feel, the pain that people feel, they feel it, but you feel the same pain at a bigger, like, times a million. If somebody hits you with a stone, you feel it and it hurts. And if they hit me with that same stone at the same rate and at the same speed or whatever, it that the pain, it might cause the same kind of a impact on you, as it does for me. But because I'm so sensitive, it's the pain. I feel that same pain um, times a million. Okay, so because I was so sensitive, it made my life a living hell, a living freaking hell, and I had to suffer the worst kind of traumas, which is emotional neglect trauma from my parents and from the people in my family, and pretty much that extended to people in general. Because whatever trauma you experience in your childhood at home or whatever, if it's not resolved, which 9 times out of 10 it's not going to be resolved, because we up until now people are starting to understand more about trauma, but for a very long time, and even still, for the most part today, we enter our adult life and our teenage stages without knowing that there's something wrong with us. So I was trying to make a point. If it was not resolved, I forgot what I was trying to say about if it wasn't resolved. So what I'm going through right now is just living hell, because I suppressed that big part of me for so long, right? I've suppressed my knowledge, intuitive side for so long. Even when I'm speaking to you now, I can't really bring it out in my voice like I really want to. It's just been buried, and it's something pretty big. It's pretty big. It's a crap load of knowledge that is way ahead of most other teachers and other people in this life. Way ahead of what's in school. And when I make my videos, what comes out is not even. It's not even. It's not even a quarter of what I have inside of me to give out. It's just that when I turn on the camera, and I've been suffering like this for years, and the thing about it is, the point I was going to make in pretty soon was that is that because I've suppressed that part of me, that such a big thing, it caused my family to not know who I really am. And because of that, and because of the kind of a family that I grew up in, a narcissistic family, narcissistic parents, narcissistic abuse, it caused me to, I cannot show them the side of me, because if I show them the side of me, that initial trauma and that signature trauma caused me to continue to attract. Because remember, we live in this universe that is based on magnetism and what they call the law of attraction. So whatever trauma you experience in your childhood, you're going to continue to attract the same trauma over and over, because you're attracting the same people, places, things, experiences that continues to trigger that inside of you. And so the more it happens, the more you suppress it, the more I suppress it, and I suppress and suppress. And the more I suppress it, the more I attract those kind of people. So what I was attracting is family. Whether we realize it or not, we attract our family because we chose our family. So my family, especially my family, parents to siblings to everyone, they never seen that side of me before because I was so afraid of how they would react to it. Number one, they will not identify with it. They will not like that side of me, and some of them will be threatened by that side of me. And to this day, I am still desperately afraid of that, to the point where I can't bring up what I need to bring up, the energy that I need to bring up that is going to level up with the kind of the level of consciousness that I need to I don't want to use the word download, but to like stream through the knowledge that I receive from my higher self. I can't I can't do that on camera. I can't do that when I'm if I even in an audio recording, because I started a podcast. And today is my day to upload the podcast, and which is why I'm doing this, because I'm trying to just vent and spew things out. That maybe my voice and everything will come together once I start talking. And sometimes when I start talking, I go into this mood, this feeling of who do I think I am, kind of a thing, because I I became that person that my family expected me to be and thought I was. Because if the spiritual teacher side of me has been suppressed, then whatever they think I am and say that I am, I became. Because this is, I mean, it's just like when somebody's being bullied, and they just kind of become somebody who continues to be bullied, because whatever people say that they are, because they internalize the pain so much, it makes it hard for them to really be anything else but it. Because there's a fear that if the number one fear that is that should um if I should ever go against what they think about me, they're going to be threatened by it. And if they're threatened by it, then I'm not going to be safe. And not only that, I'm not going to be safe from their ridicule, from their verbal abuse, from their emotional abuse, from their put downs, okay, from them belittling me. I won't, not only of those things, but I'm also not going to be able to connect with them. And I had that really bad, because pretty much all my life I had this severe social anxiety, which I didn't really have other people in my life. So my family became just like the primary people that I knew, which these people were pretty much verbally and emotionally abusing me my whole life. And they don't know this, because these things are normal to them. Whatever you grow up, whatever situation you grow up in, these things become normal to you. It become normal to say certain things, especially in certain cultures, to say certain things to people. And they don't, the people who are hurt, they don't even know that they're hurt, because the gaslighting is so effective, where it became a cultural thing where you're not hurt by these things because, number one, I didn't even say it to hurt you, and you're too sensitive. And even though you're hurt deep down, you're not allowed to express it because you're afraid to be sensitive, and you're afraid to be perceived as weak. So we internalize these things that is going on, and we sometimes we don't know that we've been hurt consciously. It's just like a kind of a visceral, emotional, and subconscious response to what was said to us. But these things continue to fester inside of us, and this is how some people end up committing murder, because all that pain and that buildup of pain cause them to act out violently, and they don't know where this violence is coming from. especially when we live in a society where we're told that um, negativity and what the horrible things that people do is coming from sin and the devil and all these other things. It's not coming from the trauma that their parents and their family inflicted on them. It's not coming from anything the parents did or didn't do. It's coming from the devil, right? So because people don't want to take responsibility for what they're doing to their children, and not only that, they don't even know they're doing something to their children because of all these other lies that they tell themselves. And I don't care what anybody says. If you are, if you, if you don't know that consciously that what you do, the things that is normal that you do to your children and what you do to people is hurting them, if it's something negative that hurts them, whether they're aware or you're aware, and to some degree, on some level, you know that is hurtful. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. You know it's causing them trauma. You know these things, but you do it anyway. Anyway, so because I couldn't show this side of myself to my family, the suppression became this super chronic. It became this like a part of my consciousness. That part of my consciousness exists in like a box. It's like I'm inside of a box inside of me because it's a part of me. That part of my consciousness is existing in a box and it's locked up and it's part of my being that cannot be released. And so because of the trauma itself, what I was dealing with, and I mean we all deal with this to some degree, is a kind of a um, fragmentation trauma. So really, there is a dissociation process that is going on, and ultimately, I am a dissociative. Every time I would go around my family, because I couldn't be my true self, I couldn't be my highest self, I couldn't be my highest intellectual, eloquent, wise. I couldn't exude wisdom in front of them. And that part of me is locked up in a box inside of me. I would dissociate and become whoever and whatever I believe that the people that I'm around want to see me as. So over the years, they still don't know that I have this part of me that understands and can understand pretty much anything there is to understand in this universe. So they don't know this about me, and because they don't know this about me, it makes it hard. Because all through these years, it's been a situation where I cannot bring out that side of me, because if I bring out that side of me in front of them, they're going to hate me. And they're going to laugh at it. And they're going to put me down. And I'm desperately, and I am still desperately, deeply afraid of these things. So what is happening to me now is a situation where it's coming up to a point where, based on what's all the thing that's going on in this world, I need to be out there teaching what I need to teach. But I cannot bring myself to bring it out, because when I go around people in general, because of this trauma and this dissociation process, when I go around people, that the spiritual center side of me goes back in that box and lock itself up, and it cannot come out from me. It's like another dissociative part of myself, or some people call it an altar. I don't like calling it that because it suggests people start to think that maybe it's like schizophrenia, and in a way that it's the same thing as schizophrenia. But I am not like a person who have these parts of myself that I give other names, and I forget about who that person is when I'm in one altar. Like, I'm always aware of who I am to some degree. I'm always aware that I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm always aware of the part of me that is dissociating to somehow survive around other people. So um, I'm functional for the most part, but I still have this mental illness that I'm working on every day, and it's freaking killing me right now because I need to be out there teaching. I need to be out there selling my books. But the next big old issue is that because of the family, the kind of people that I attracted in my life, I attracted a lot of narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic people. I mean, the 99% of the people, okay, 90% of the people that I attracted in my life were these types of people, which made it even hard for me to really be myself, because when you're around these people, they're extremely jealous people. They're extremely vindictive. Any negative and evil trait that there is to have a narcissist and a sociopath, they have it. And so because of these types, I was attracting so many of these types of people. A lot of them um, were sending what is known as psychic spiritual attack my way. And the psychic spiritual attack is to continue to have me suppress that side of me. Because whenever these things are very hard to explain, and it's particularly hard to explain because of how it's affecting me. It's affecting my voice, it's affecting my perception, it's affecting my abilities and my inspiration and my passion to go on camera and talk about it. So it's like I want to talk about these things, but I can't talk about them because talking about them means I have to talk about them, but I can't talk about them because I have to suppress these things. It's just a fucking vicious cycle. It's so freaking hard. It's just like right now, as when I talk, I hear my own voice, and there's something telling me that I sound like an idiot. What do I think I'm doing? I'm an idiot. Nobody's gonna take me seriously. Um, your voice is weird. You know, it just sounds like my tone of my voice sounds weird, and my self-worth is, or the lack of, is telling me that I will never really, nobody will ever really be able to hear me. I will never be able to bring out my true self. So to go back to what I was saying, these people started sending me, put, dark energy. They started sending dark energy my way. Because when people see, it's like they don't see the biggest side of me, but they see that there's something different about me, and that's enough. And this is one reason why I continue to be so afraid, because if they are doing these things and they've only seen, they've not even seen the real me yet. They haven't seen the biggest part of me yet. What the fuck are they gonna do when they really start to see these things? Okay, so these psychic attacks, it caused me to suppress even more, and the more I suppressed, the more people I attracted to send psychic attacks my way. So it caused the whole trauma to be even worse. I did a video on psychic attacks and how to heal psychic attacks. Because even though I know how to heal them, because my trauma is so much, it's taking longer than I would like to. I mean, there's so much that I need to say, but I can't bring it up to say, okay, what is going on is, different traumas, different kind of trauma, and every trauma you have different sectors to it. It has a spectrum to it. Is attracting different people, and these different people are sending you different attacks, whether it's deliberate psychic attack or it's just them wishing you bad. that creates an energy that ultimately attacks you. If they consciously or subconsciously wanted to attack you. And so it does, it locks itself into the traumas, the original trauma, and make the trauma worse, and makes the effect of the trauma worse, and every negative effect of every negative effect of a trauma. Okay, so those things are causing me. One symptom is causing me is that my voice shuts down, and it causes this nudge and this knot in my stomach to like pull in my strength. Like I can't really speak, and I can't speak like when I'm speaking by myself. When I'm sitting by myself, sometimes the knowledge comes to me and it's just pouring through me and I could speak. When I turn on the camera, it cannot. And even in this moment, I can't really speak like I want to speak. And it feels like I need to heal all my traumas and every aspect of my trauma. But I'm so deeply traumatized that for me to heal everything, to be better, it will take forever. It's taking forever. But at the same time, I need to be able to create content to fulfill my life's purpose, and also to to help to heal the world from racism and all these things that I talk about. But I can't find it I can't find it naturally when I want to make content and make videos and stuff. But if I try to heal it, every time I work on one thing, something else comes up. And then I work on it and something else comes up. And then whenever something else comes up, it's so, because I'm so sensitive, it affects me in a way where it becomes debilitating and excruciating to the point where I can't do this work. So when I try to heal everything, that's still getting in my way. When I don't try to heal it, I'm too fucked up to do anything then. So it's like I'm trapped. And these are some of the things that have made me suicidal pretty much all my life. But I could never bring myself to commit suicide because it seems as I can't even go into it. I believe that, from my perspective, I see that, certain people choose different things when they're coming into this life that's going to be a part of their personality and a part of to aid in their life's purpose. And to stay no matter what. So if I chose that, then suicide is not easy to do. It means that I'm going to have this kind of affinity to certain parts of this life. And if that's the case, then I have an attachment to this life, which means that it feels impossible to commit suicide. So even though I wanted to die, I couldn't actually kill myself. And some people might say, well, don't kill yourself. Well, sure, but I don't see suicide as being a sin, number one, and I don't see it as meaning your doom, and I don't see it as a bad thing. Suicide is just death. It's you creating your own death, and there's no way death. If you're saying suicide is bad, you're saying death is bad, and you can't really say death is bad without that. It doesn't even make sense for death to be bad. because death is an inevitable thing that pretty much all of us are going to experience. Okay? And if we don't, well, let me not say that. Some people believe, and well, anyway, forget about that. We're all going to experience death as far as we know. So death is not bad or good. If anything, it's good because it's the only way to enter a new life. And even if you're a Christian and you believe you're going to go to heaven, it's the only way to heaven. So how could it be bad? So why would suicide be bad? It wouldn't be. These are not bad things. These are things that are going to happen to all of us. It's a cycle. You can't really enter a new life or enter a new plane or go to a new dimension without death. So if suicide is bad, then death is bad, and death cannot be bad because it's just a inevitable. It's an inevitable process that we all have to experience. If death is bad, then birth is bad because you can't be born again without death. But you see, the people who sell this and have been selling this for how long, a lot of them are Christian minded, and the people who came up with these ideas, they're the same people that created Christianity anyway. Okay? And they believe that, death, suicide is bad because one reason, it was a kind of a mind game, a mass mind game to keep people trapped in this reality. Do I have people typing in anything? Emancipation, I understand it's like this world, like a big lie. Emancipation, are you still there, Chance X? What's the overall point of this video? There's no really overall point, just me venting, okay? Just me venting about my problems and my issues. Right now, I need to make a podcast, and I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could freaking do it because I'm just too fucked up. I think I'm gonna end it here. I think I'm gonna end.